last night to see if he was barefoot. Is that still the case? Is he barefoot? Because I know on Facebook somebody posted a picture of these could be his shoes, or is that so he is presumed to be barefoot at this point?
What I can say is that his mom says all of his shoes are accounted for at the house. I'm not going to say that he's barefoot.
All right.
Allegedly!
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here coming at you with another raw narrative. Here's a brief disclaimer for tonight's show. Let's watch.
That's ignorant! Allegedly, that's ignorant! Ignorant!
Judgment, Austin.
Chloe, you read my thoughts. You've got the shinin.
You mean shining?
Shh! You wanna get sued?
Judgment, Austin.
You just use that shin of yours to call me and I'll come a running. But don't be reading my mind between 4 and 5. That's Willie's time.
Hey, yo, boss. I love him when he does that.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here coming at you with another raw narrative, and it's so good to see all of you tonight. Thank you so much for hitting the like button, you guys, and welcome in everyone. I saw Lori and Reynolds, Born a Honey. Born a Honey, was it Show Poodles? I also saw Show Poodles said she was in a different place tonight. Are you on vacation? Also thank you for subbing up to the True Crime Persuasion. I also saw Chloe Jade in here. Good to see you, Chloe Jade. Also, I saw Hey Jude and Town Chat Cafe, Kathy Bartholomew. Good to see you. And Fed Up Buttercup. So good to see you. Also, Mama. It looks like we have a full house tonight. So it's so good to see all of you guys. And I have a couple of things planned for tonight. I finally got the letter read out, so I wanted to share that with you all. And I'm going to post it to my channel, but I also kind of found some really ominous music that I was listening to earlier, and I wanted to share that and do kind of a montage of pictures that I just kind of pulled in for the other videos. So really, really great sound effects in there, kind of setting the mood for really how I feel when I look back on the Sebastian Rogers case. Also, when I look back on the Summer Wells case as well, it's one of those things where you're kind of going over the sequence of events as we know it, and then it almost is like a horror film, right? Children just disappearing, vanishing, which we know that doesn't happen. It's not possible. Thank you, Hey Jude, for gifting a membership. If you got a membership from Hey Jude, welcome to the Dragon Tribe. And thank you so much, Hey Jude. That's so sweet of you. make sure you say thank you to Hey Jude. Aw. Hey Denise Harris, good to see you. So yeah, so I really want to go over what I said in the letter to Cash Patel, because I want to know what you all think of it. And I also want to know if maybe I left anything out. I don't want to hammer away, and I didn't want to make it really long and drawn out, which is kind of hard for me, especially because I'm so passionate, because I could probably write at least a 10-page letter with grievances in the Sebastian Rogers case. I just mentioned that I caught them in multiple lies. Hey, little Miss Sharon, good to see you. So, and in different little aspects, the flashlight video, I mentioned that. The last person who was with Sebastian was his mother, Katie. But I really hoped to kind of condense Sebastian's story without losing some of what I really want Cash to focus on. And I'm really hoping that will spark his interest. So, and then we're going to work on another letter writing campaign kind of with someone else. So I think it'll be good just kind of getting him, planting these seeds of knowledge of Sebastian's case, right? I'm sure he knows about it, but that doesn't mean that he does, and that doesn't mean that he doesn't. And it doesn't mean that if he sees Sebastian's story again, that he might take some action. So that is my hope. Hey, YouTuber, good to see you. So, but I hope you all are having a great Saturday. I hope you all are doing well tonight. And then I also wanted to go over an update on Lily and Jack's case, which I'm probably a little bit behind, but I think it's important to kind of keep up with what's going on. And there were some kind of strange statements made by Daniel Martell. I'm not really sure about Daniel Martell. He's very soft-spoken. If I was to look at Daniel Martell and I was to say, compare him to Christopher Proudfoot, I can say that Daniel Martell is a lot more likable than Christopher Proudfoot. I can also say he is not so oppositional. However, there are some things that Daniel Martell says that lead me to believe that he's still interested in the same things that Chris Proudfoot is interested in, like media coverage and public opinion and different things like that. They seem to be on the forefront of what he wants to talk about, rather than just maybe even hammering away at scenarios of what could have happened to Lily and Jack. We also find out that there are other children involved, and we knew from the beginning that there were 2 people living on the property in a camper, which was alleged to be Daniel's mother and brother. And now we're kind of peeling back the onion, and that we see that there are other children that were in the home as well, which leads me to believe that maybe those other children were not in the home at that time for a reason, because Lily and Jack, something was going to happen that could lead to some premeditation and obviously more speculation. Hey, Connie S., so good to see you. So good to see you. Love you too, True Crime Persuasion. Yes. And Chloe Jade, feel free to drop the link and definitely go sub up, guys. Thank you to everybody that did sub up. We're definitely working hard on this other channel, and it's going to be really great. I'm so excited for the opportunity to work with Chloe Jade on a channel and just kind of go over these cases with maybe a fine-tooth comb and have some fun doing it too, because these stories are really, really hard. And like I said, even the music that I was going over today for some more of what I'm putting together for tomorrow night's show and what I was putting together for tonight's show, it really puts me in a more somber, melancholy mood because of the emotion behind some of the music that I have chosen. But then also just, again, knowing what has happened to these children. And thinking about the different scenarios, it brings me to tears. It tears apart my heart. And I don't understand how it doesn't when the parents are talking about these children to the media, because it's kind of like that's your one shot, right? To get up there and tell everybody what you want them to hear about your children or your child that's missing. And it just kind of seems like a lost opportunity. And I'm not saying that somebody should boo-hoo and, get to the point where we can't understand someone, or if they're super upset, like, let them have a minute to calm themselves down and then they can speak properly and things like that, because it is a very tough situation. But in a lot of these cases, we don't even see a tear shed, and if they do, it's like and they're like covering so you can't see anything. Those are always things that are major red flags to me, major red flags. So, and hey, Linda Hall. So, I mean, those are some of the things that I like to pay attention to, and we'll be drawing attention to that too, with the True Crime Persuasion channel as well. So, but it's really, really exciting. I'm excited for it. And then, of course, we also have Travis Decker, which let me get this ass hat up here. Let me take, and everyone, I almost forgot. So Erica Brooks and Antonio Jackson have been located safe, and I did update that on my community post, just so y'all know. I wanted to, because I highlighted this yesterday. This was another parent who had an Amber Alert issued immediately on her and her son, because there was suspected danger. So good on the police, and they were found located safe. I think that's the biggest takeaway here, located safe. Amber Alert is issued, located safe. You know what I mean? Bada bing, bada boom. There you go, babe. Okay, and now I also wanted to pull this in for our friend Travis, especially for him. This is special for you. And United States Marshal Service has the number 1-800-336-0102. $20,000 reward for any information leading to the capture of this monster, Travis Decker, who took the lives of his 3 young daughters before they even had a chance to live, in my opinion. Because I think back to when I was 9 years old, and that's the oldest of the 3 who were taken. Peyton, Evelyn, Olivia. Peyton 9, Peyton 9. Evelyn is 8. Olivia is 5. And they were taken far too soon. Travis Decker's been on the loose. There was a manhunt for Travis Decker, and this is the area that he was in, right? Chelan County. Wenatchee, excuse me. I always go to mispronounce that incorrectly, but Wenatchee is the area that they were originally in, where the crime was committed, right? Where they found the girls. They were found bound with zip ties, and bags were placed over their heads. He is still at large. They were looking for him. This is another picture of Travis and what he may look like. He changes his appearance regularly, from what I can see in all of these pictures that have been issued out. But these are kind of the more scruffier kind of pictures that we might see him maybe a little bit more disheveled. He's not going to be as clean cut, unless he's out there, I mean, I don't think he's going to be out there clean cut. So, so cute. So cute. Oh, and I got my little kitty too. I got an air plant the other day. I don't know if you guys can see my cat back here, but this is the little cat, and it's got so cute. So, yeah, that's the True Crime Persuasion cat. I forgot to show you guys. So, very cute, cute, cute. I don't even know how I had him set up. There we go. But, and I didn't get tea light candles. I forgot them twice at the store. So, thanks, Chloe. I know. I was like, oh, I need to get this. Actually, I was on the phone with you whenever I found that little kitty cat. So I hope they have another one. I'd like to get like a black one. I'd like to get a black cat, but they only had the white ones. Well, they had like maybe like a metallic silver one, but I wanted to get a white one and I wanted to get a black one. So, thanks, Connie S. Thank you. And the air plants are so cute. Like they're little and they're spiky, and all you have to do is mist them, and they don't need like a ton of light or anything. Because kind of where I'm at, I'm not gonna like undo the tapestry all the time. So yeah. I was plant shopping. Yes. I was like, I'm at Lowe's, I'm at this, and they have all kinds of like soap, like all the really pretty like tropical plants. So I was also looking for plants for outside, but then I ended up seeing that cat and that was the only one that I got. So I got so distracted. I was like just so happy walking around with that cat. I was like, yay. But they had some really pretty bamboo ones, and I lost my bamboo in the move. They were left outside in the sun, and I felt really, really bad for those poor bamboo plants. But I was thinking about getting another one because they're another that don't really require a bunch of sun. Obviously, it's not good for them. So I need more house plants. Shout out if you guys know any good house plants that are good, because I do like to have a lot of plants around, and plus it's just summertime. It's pretty. I want something bright around to inspire me. But let's see here. I would like to. I know I love bamboo too, Denise. They have such pretty ones at Lowe's. I liked Lowe's selection better than Home Depot, and their prices were a little bit better. Just saying. Sorry, Home Depot. You guys got to do better. We'll shout you out. Lowe's, right? Lori knows about Lowe's. Yeah. And they have like so many pretty tropical ones. I really wanted to pick some of those out. I have a couple of palm trees outside, but they're still like really small and, nothing to really look at. No, Connie, I try so hard, and I used to have like a really good selection of succulents and all kinds of stuff. But like I said, when I moved, I had to kind of pick and choose what I brought because I didn't want them to get like all jumbled up, and it was just no room, and it was just a whole mess. Yes. Hey, Jude, you are inspiring me to do the plants and flowers too, because you were talking about yours and I was like, oh yeah, I should do that outside, because it'll just like look nice. And I've been working. I bought some lights for in here, and then I couldn't find enough space for them, and they were kind of jumbled up, and I didn't like the way they looked. And I don't know. I like the way other people do their lights so much better than what I was doing with mine. And so it's a work in progress. And plus I want to kind of change my scene when we do the other show. So I'm definitely thinking about interchangeable backgrounds and things like that. So I think you guys will love it. Plants. I feel bad. Plants. Connie S., I will buy like the plants that are kind of like wilting and stuff because like they're on sale, and then I'll be like, look what I rescued. And then it's like questionable if it will live or not. So I don't know if I'm the best hands either. Right. Yeah. Bamboo is a good one like that, because really you like just put it like in water, and you can put it in something clear where you can see, if you need water and stuff. And they don't need a whole lot at all. And they're really nice and kind of like Zen atmosphere too. So yeah, the fake plants. Well, that's the thing, because like I would hate to forget to like dust them off or something, and they'd be all like dusty, and somebody's like, oh gosh, those aren't real. But because they do look really, really fake. Ooh, aloe. Yes, Fed Up Buttercup says, I despise fake plants. Plants add a lot to a home. Lady, get aloe because it's medicine too. And I used to have an aloe plant that I really, really liked. It was a big one. But yeah, I need to start with that. And I think aloe would do really, really well here too. So cactuses are another good plant that are, low maintenance, but really nice to look at. I just hate repotting them because you always like stick yourself with them. Okay. Sorry, guys. I was trying not to hit the other little button to drop the link, but tonight, I don't know. I think they put that up front so you do hit it a lot, and then that way you're dropping that link too. Yeah, aloe plants are good, Connie. Yes, they are, and you're right too. Feta buttercup, they're medicine too. So, especially here with the sunburns. Um, Oh, elephant ears. Yes, I love those for outside. They had a lot of really nice, like potted already that were kind of like different succulents and things like that. And they were really, really pretty. And I was thinking about just getting a couple of those and then repotting them into littler pot planters and kind of decorating outside a little bit. So I just have to be careful of what I put out there and leave out there because, you know, a lot of that can't take a bunch of sun, or it needs to be in a different place. So, and I have a lot of macrame plant hangers too I need to get out of my storage. Oh, you bought bamboo at Lowe's too, Anne? Hey, Holly S, good to see you. Borna Honey said, listening and making mermaid dolls. Have a good evening, everyone. Oh, cool. Mermaid dolls. That sounds like fun. I love mermaids. Especially when I was little, I just loved mermaids so much. Okay, guys. So I think the first thing we will do is I will play this this letter I wrote to Cash. And like I said, it's not long or anything. It's just kind of like something, hopefully it'll spark his interest. I'm hoping.
Dear Mr. Patel, I am writing you this letter to bring awareness to the case of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. Sebastian has been missing for over a year and a half, and his father has been searching for him this entire time. I can't say the same for his mother Katie and his stepfather Chris. It seems they have been nothing but oppositional this entire time. Sebastian did go missing from their home on Stafford Court in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and has not been seen since February 25th, 2024, when he was caught on camera leaving the Texas Roadhouse with his mother, Katie. They had a full day that day, starting out with breakfast. Next, they picked up their niece and headed to BJ's wholesale grocery store. They headed back to their home and dropped off the groceries and spent a little time there. They headed over to Strike and Spare for a game of bowling, and then they went to the Texas Roadhouse for dinner. Katie claims there is audio and video in her vehicle, proof that Sebastian made it home from the Texas Roadhouse. She also claims Sebastian took the trash out as it was his chore to take the trash to the end of the driveway. The grainy video is all we have to go by, and unfortunately, Katie has not been truthful. You may be asking yourself why I'm asking you for help. Understandably so. It's because this case has evidence of child abuse and CPS involvement. Sumner County Sheriff's Office holds jurisdiction over Sebastian's case. The TBI has an agent working the case that claims to be the only one working the case. I understand everyone's efforts and I appreciate them. However, here we are a year and a half into Sebastian's disappearance, and law enforcement agents in Tennessee are claiming they have absolutely no evidence Sebastian ever left his home. But his mother Katie claims that he must have walked out of his home between the hours of midnight and 6 a.m. Sebastian's mother claims that she went to bed at midnight, and when she went to wake him up in the morning at 6 a.m., he wasn't there. Since Sebastian's disappearance, Chris and Katie have ever-changing stories, have made fools out of themselves all over social media with the way they speak of their son Sebastian, who is missing, and who I have, by using their own words, caught them in countless lies about what happened to Sebastian. There has yet to be a solid criminal investigation into Christopher and Katie Proudfoot and Christopher's family, who is known to hire people to do their dirty work for them. But in this case, I have a feeling they've kept it in the family. None of the family members, nor Chris or Katie, have shown up to any of the vigils to show support Sebastian's father, Seth Rogers, has held for his son. There is something gravely wrong with this situation. if all other options have been exhausted. Then that only leaves Sebastian's mother, Katie, who was the last one with Sebastian in the home that evening. Activity around Chris and Katie Proudfoot's residence from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. shows a light source at around 3:10 a.m. that travels from the Proudfoot residence, meeting another light source in the common area near the road. After meeting up briefly, the other light source travels back to the Proudfoot residence after whatever transpired. That is the only activity which suggests that Sebastian did not leave his home willingly, and that shows that someone left the home and came back to the home with a flashlight. If there were only 2 people in the home, then one could quickly deduct that maybe 2 people left that night and only one came back to the home. It's very simple math. It's crystal clear. I appreciate your concern and attention to this matter. Sincerely, Lady Freedom. We are Sebastian's army, and we are Sebastian strong.
Okay, guys. So that was my letter that I sent out, and I probably should have mentioned the 3 a.m. car too, because that was also, in the area, in the activity in the area, right? So I tried to focus in on the activity in the area because I think that's really important. I think it's important to note that Sebastian was last seen leaving the Texas Roadhouse with his mother, Katie. That's huge for me, and really important. Oh, the elephants need the shade. Oh, poor thing, Fed Up Buttercup, your poor neighbor. Oh my goodness. I don't believe anything Katie says either, Denise, and that's what makes it so hard. So we get all these conflicting stories, right? Katie's in different chats, or excuse me, different panels talking in the beginning. They spoke to media outlets a few times, right, in the beginning, but their stories have never been consistent. And then we catch them adding in details, catch Katie adding in details. And it's just, it just reeks of deception. It reeks of deception. Hey, Just Me, good to see you. Welcome in, and thank you so much for the green hearts. Oh my gosh, she could have blown her whole apartment building up doing that Fed Up Buttercup. Yeah, you're not supposed to smoke with oxygen. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm so glad she's okay now. Oh my goodness, that's terrible. It's hard to tell people not to do things like that. And then they're like, so I'll just light up anyway, Town Chat Cafe says, Lady Freedom's raw narratives. Wow, that was beautiful and professional letter. Oh, thank you. Thanks so much, Town Chat Cafe. I sure pray it gets his attention. Well done. Thank you. Thanks, Town Chat Cafe. Yeah, and I hope so too. I really hope that he will read it. And thank you, Lori. Thank you so much. Lori says it sounds good. I think it's really, really important just to kind of give him the key details. And that was so hard for me because, like I said, I could go on and on about, Sebastian and what a great person he is. And, but I think that someone like Cash is probably really, if I could take a wild guess, is probably someone who is really, really detail oriented work, and then also he just really wants to hear just the facts. And so I kind of approached it that way, which is difficult for me because I wear my heart on my sleeve a lot. But I think that was probably the best approach here. And then with all of these politicians, I'm sorry, but I kind of think of it that way. Elected officials, people who are in these powers of authority, I think are more of the personality where they want to just kind of know the facts quick. They don't have time to read everything, and so I want to be concise. Thank you, Borna Honey. She says that's great. Good job, heartfelt and to the point. Thank you. I was trying so hard, Borna Honey. It's absolutely difficult for me. Thanks, Brenda Brown. Thank you so much. Thanks, Connie S. Yeah, I was trying to keep it professional. That's what's so hard too. Oh, Jude says, I haven't seen Seth lately. We all have to wish him a happy Father's Day on our social media tomorrow. Absolutely. Hey, Jude. Definitely will do that. Yeah, because I mean, oh my gosh, and a happy Father's Day to all of our fathers out there, especially Seth. He's our resident dad around here, Sebastian's dad. And I know it's really difficult time for people when we have these holidays and things like that, because if you lost your parent, or if you're a parent that lost their child, heaven forbid, it's got to be so tough. I'll be praying for Sebastian to come home for Father's Day, and I'll be praying for Travis Stecker to be found on Father's Day. Yeah. Oh, absolutely, Denise. Oh gosh, yes. Oh yes. And trust me, if I if I could convey through the letter how pissed I am, oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. But I might save that one for Craddock. I can't lie. Thank you, Just Me. Thank you so much. Yeah, to the max, Jude says. Yeah, absolutely. And it's difficult because it's to the point of ridiculousness, if we're being honest. If we're really going to say, thank you, little Miss Sharon. If we're really going to sit here and be honest, it's absolutely infuriating, because so many lies, right? And I've caught them in lies with their own words, right? And it's just like, tomorrow we're gonna talk about Summer, because it is the anniversary of her being missing, and I'm here to tell you, it's gonna bring a whole new meaning to Father's Day when we examine Don's words. As a matter of fact, there were some of these statements that were made that I had never heard before. And I was lucky that I was by a trash can. Let's just put it that way. That's how absolutely repulsive some of the content that we're going to get into tomorrow is. Some of what I've been working on, absolutely bone chilling. And when I think about what Summer had to endure, when I think about what Sebastian had to endure, that's why I wanted to also highlight the child abuse aspect in this case, in Sebastian's case to Cash. But also, I wanted to make sure that was, if that's not a factor, it's one less toxic element to the case, right? But when that is a factor, it is one of the most toxic elements. And we have family members in both cases on sides of the family that are registered SOs, and things of the like. So I thought I saw him in Josh's the other night. Fed Up Buttercup said, I saw Seth on the Late Night Lab a few days ago. Okay, I thought so too. I was over there teasing Josh. I was watching and I wasn't commenting. Oh, thank you, Brenda Brown. Thank you so much for your super sticker. Oh, that's so sweet of you. Well, thank you. Aw. But they were talking about the Hunger Games. Now, just a quick story. I love the Hunger Games. My daughter and I are just huge Hunger Games fans. We read all of them. But now they came out with 2 prequels. And so the newest one came out and she was like sending me a picture like, hey, look what's out and things like that. And apparently his son likes the Hunger Games and he was giving them hell. And I kind of caught some of it and it was making me laugh. And so, of course, then I heard they're going back and forth about an apology. And so, of course, I had to go in there and just say that I sided with his son because I said the Hunger Games are awesome. And then I told him that his punishment his punishment is reading all of them and the prequels. And they're long books, but they're great. They're really great. And they really encompass some issues that I think as a society, they're important to look at, especially some of the elements of like just the mean spiritedness of human nature sometimes. And but they're really interesting. And the books, I know people have probably seen the movies. Oh gosh, no. Mm-mm. No offense, but the books, read the books. So I said I'll be looking forward to some lives about the Hunger Games when you read them. That was too funny though. I thought it was hilarious though, because that's definitely something that thanks YouTuber that I was so into. And we saw all the movies, in the theater. We'd go see them in the theater. So I hope I get to see the prequel if they make one with her in the theater. Oh yeah, that would be terrifying, Denise. Oh my gosh, yeah. If you had to, if you were having to clean and go over there and they were smoking and they had the oxygen, oh my gosh, I would quit too. I would quit too. My Lord. It's dangerous, but some people are like, I don't care. I'm still going to smoke. And you're like, no, you can't do that. Thank you, Miss Ann. Thank you so much. Thank you. I hope it does some good. I really, really do. Hey Jude, thank you. Oh, Connie S, I'm so sorry. Says I lost my both of my parents and my daughter. Oh my goodness, Connie, I'm so sorry. Yeah, both of my parents are deceased, and I know a lot of people are that way too. I do. Second Father's Day with no Sebastian. Hey Jude says, and it should never ever be that way. It really should, and it shouldn't have been this long. I'm this long, a year and a half. Oh, Jonathan, I know I'm going to say this wrong. Hoeing to be found on Father's Day too. Thanks, Town Chat. Oh, it's so sad. It's so sad. Love and strength for Seth, says Fed Up Buttercup. Thank you, Fed Up Buttercup. Yeah. And, highlighting good dads, especially with what we're going to deal with tomorrow and kind of what we're going to see here with Mr. Martell. That's important to me. Born a Honey says, you guys know my kid's self unalive 4 months ago. This will be the first Father's Day. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm so sorry, Born a Honey. Oh no. Oh my gosh. Well, my heart and my prayers are with you. Yeah, and I know Miss Ann too, about with your husband's problem. Well, not even probably is missing your son. Lori says, Connie, me too. Both of my parents and my son. Aw. Yeah, and it's just hard, and we just had Mother's Day, and that's always a really tough time. Thank you. True Crime Persuasion says justice for Sebastian. Thank you so much. Aw. Thanks for the super chat. Hey Jude says, all you parents missing your children, I'm with you and sending love and prayers. Thank you, Hey Jude. Thank you. Aww. Yeah, Fed Up Buttercup, that has definitely crossed my mind. In my opinion, I feel when they find Decker, it will turn out fatal. What are y'all thoughts on it? Yeah. I definitely think that that will happen. Yeah. Oh yeah. I think that that is a strong possibility given maybe his desperate state, if he's still out there, if he's still running. Um, I also worry that they may find him deceased. You know, hey, Jude says fed up buttercup. I agree. Yeah, and it's strong. And even the police are like, hey, he's going to dictate how this ends. So the ball's in his court, however you're going to, be found, if you're going to go peacefully, if you're, he's really in charge of how everything is going to work out. Um, yes, Fed Up Buttercup says, I know losing children have to be the hardest feelings in life. Heartbreaking. Love and hugs to all of you. Aw, thank you, Fed Up Buttercup. Oh, yes, little Miss Sharon. Have a nice ride. Hey, Twitch. Good to see you. Thanks for being here, Twitch. Connie S says a lot of times books are better than the movies. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Really, that series was really well written and just kind of kept you on the edge of your seat. Um, those were one of those kinds of books where it was like, if I was going to read before bed, I'd have to be really careful because the next thing I knew, I would be up like until 3:30 or 4 in the morning, and I'd have to go to work in the morning, and I'd be like reading, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize I was reading this long. Um, Fed Up Buttercup says on the lab I saw there was a redheaded guy doing a spirit box. Oh Lord. I mean, I'm not trying to knock anybody. I'm not trying to knock anybody for doing a spirit box. I personally I'm not gonna do that. I don't. Aw, Lori says I had the best dad ever. Aw, how sweet. Lori, that's so amazing. Aw. I know. I feel like I would be the same way Fed Up Buttercup says if I lost a child, I'd have to be sedated in a padded room. Yeah, well, and especially if you didn't know where your child is, like I would be a nut and I would be like all over the police and they'd be like, here she comes again. And what the hell's wrong with this crazy woman? Um, and then they probably would find me a room. Denise says, I lost my daddy when I was 19. My mom passed away in 2002. Oh, Denise, I'm so sorry. Yeah, that's really young, too. 19. Oh, my gosh. Um, yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's not easy. Children should never go before their parents. I agree, Connie. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of an unnatural thing, right? Um, hey, Cinderella. Good to see you. Good to see you, Cinderella. Oh, and I hope not. Yeah, I hope not. Denise Harris says, Chris and Katie Proudfoot, where's Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers? You all know. Yeah, I think they know too. And, oh, thank you, Fed Up Buttercup. Yeah, and just give me a text. Give me a text. Lori says, I lost my mom at 21 and my dad in 2011. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and see, and that's hard. And I don't think it ever gets really easier, even though, because like if I look back on my parents, my mom was 2006 and my dad was 2023. So yeah, it's if I think back about my mom, I'm like, wow, it's been so long. Every time I think back about it, but they were both March, same month. Um, Connie says I lost dad in 2003 and mom in 2005. Yeah, Yeah, see, and that's only 2 years apart. Um, my goodness. Thank you, True Crime Persuasion. So yeah, and I'm really frustrated with Sumner County and the way that they are seeming to hold this case. Uh, that is one of my biggest gripes, and I would like for the FBI to step in and do something about it. I really would. I also still need to do a little bit of research, but since there were parents, or since there was a step parent that was in a different state across state lines, I would think that would warrant FBI involvement, but I'm not sure. I'm not really sure how to frame that out, but it's something that I wanted to consider. Hey Sammy, I'm glad you're back. Oh, the fireworks was scaring the little kids. Yeah, we have fireworks going off all the time over here. I hardly notice them anymore because they're always going off like crazy. It seems like left and right. That's true, Denise. That's true. When we lose the second parent, we suddenly feel like orphans, or at least I did. Yeah, I feel that too. I do. I feel that because you kind of just feel like, oh, well, you don't have anybody to go to for Father's Day or Mother's Day. And, I definitely felt kind of like that this year. I was like, oh yeah, it's Father's Day. Like, I don't know any, I don't know any fathers, I guess, so, um, I mean, other than our lovely fathers that we have that come into the chat, of course, who we love. Oh, hey, Deanna Downey. Deanna Downey says, I lost my dad in 2002 and my mom in 2016. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, see, yours was kind of a far apart like mine was. Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry to anybody who has lost just kids or parents. I mean, it's just a special, close bond. Sammy says, technically the FBI can step in anytime there's a missing child, whether state lines are crossed or not, but they can't take the case away from Sumner. Says, no, we got it. Right. Like, they have to be invited in. Right. I wish they would step in then, because I was kind of trying to find a reason that it would cause federal reform. I guess not reform, federal intervention, I guess is the best word. But yeah, you're right, Sammy. Thank you. Yeah, because it's like because there's jurisdiction in Sumner County, there's nothing that they can do about it. Cinderella says, I don't know if I've said this in here. I have made it very clear to Carter and Bobby that we are all starting to think they're involved. Well, I mean, it's hard not to, really, or it's hard to not think that they're trying to cover up some missteps that they have made. And I agree with you, Cinderella. Really well said. I appreciate the comment because I can see how you would think that. And it's not even I feel this way, right? It's like I think this because of the actions and because of what Christopher Proudfoot has said. He has definitely made it clear that Bobby and Carter are on his side on more than one occasion. Now, is that just cheap talk by Chris Proudfoot? Possibly. But I think it's worth listening to, especially when we see how the case was handled. Oh, that's so sweet. Brenda Brown says, I take flowers to my mom and dad's grave, Mother's Day and Father's Day. Yeah, my folks were cremated. That is so sweet. And that's important. And those are some good things that we can do on that day, especially if we do feel lonely or we do feel like, we're orphaned. Um, so ah True Crime Persuasion says hi to everyone from Lost in Translation and Perlock Homes. They are watching. Hey, Lost in Translation and Perlock Homes. Yeah, the fourth. I don't dread the fourth, but my dog does. Lori says, poor little dog. I know some of them really have a hard time with it. Well, it's so loud, and sometimes, Django will bark, but it's not too crazy. Um, I know that's hard, but what's really cool that they have too, Denise, are those lanterns, and you can write things on the lanterns and like send them away, and I think those are really uh, nice ways to honor somebody, instead of being able to go to a gravesite, because I know it's hard if you can't, or if you live far away, or um, whatever the reason might be. Connie's not sure how the beagle will react on the first fourth. Oh, how cute, Connie! So sweet. Hey Jude says, hey, Lost in Translation. I had a heart attack on Father's Day 2 years ago, and I was in this CCU at the time, had a sternum cracked. Oh my goodness. Oh, Fed Up Buttercup. Open and mass removed. I call it National Sperm Donor Day. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, for some people it is that way, right? We have good, bad, and indifferent. That's for sure. But same goes for moms too. Um, aw. Hey, Jude is awesome. Let's see here. Um, Give me 1 second, guys. I got a text, but I don't have my other phone with me. So just bear with me really quick. I'm going to switch over. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I just didn't want it to malfunction on this end. Okay, guys. So I want to kind of just change over really quick to Lily and Jack Sullivan. Let me change up this background. Oh, I might have deleted that one last night on accident. Okay, no worries. That's fine. We could still talk about Lily and Jack. I have a picture of Lily and Jack here. So Lily and Jack Sullivan went missing from Nova Scotia, Canada. They were in the Lansdowne area, and they live on a very rural property. So I know a lot of us kind of have heard stories like this before, where the kids just poof disappear from a wooded area. Uh, as a matter of fact, I watched a video today that Chronicles of Olivia did, really well done, that was talking about a boy that went missing even back in the 70s. I believe it was the 70s or the 60s. Around the time in June, like Summer Wells, and she was kind of comparing those cases. So either way, Lily and Jack Sullivan went missing. This is the door that they were alleged to have gone out of on their property, right? So Lily and Jack's mother, Maleha, she says that her and her partner Daniel were laying in the bed with their young daughter. Their young daughter is only 1 to 1.5 years old. I've kind of heard differing reports there. but her name is Meadow. And Maleha says that she was drifting in and out of sleep, laying there with her baby and her partner, but she could hear the kids playing in the room next door. Well, the next thing she knows, she says that the kids went out this door, but you can't hear the door when it opens, and she made sure to clear that up right away without even being asked. And then the kids came out and they disappeared. So that's kind of where we're at with Lily and Jack. They live on a rural road, and this is one of the chicken coops in the back of their house. But a really bizarre story. They still haven't been found. There was a candlelight vigil held for the children, which Maleha did not attend, but their stepfather Daniel did. And they're just as cute as they can be. A whole life ahead of them. 4 and 6. Lily is 6 and Jack is 4. And they were said to have been very close, like best friends. But let's hear from Mr. Martell and see what he has to say. So give me 1 second and I'll just pull this up.
Todd, Lily Sullivan and her younger brother Jack were last seen in May, and since then investigators say they've chased down every lead. RCMP confirmed they've spoken with 54 people, conducted polygraph tests, and have received close to 500 tips. But yet, there's still no sign of the siblings. Jack and Lily's stepfather says he was the first to volunteer for a polygraph, hopeful it would help the search and ease public speculation.
I know it would be a big help in the case and kind of narrow down maybe some of the speculations and just provide more evidence.
Daniel Martell says during the polygraph test he was asked several things, including whether or not he was involved in the disappearance of the children. He says both his cell phone and that of his estranged wife were confiscated and searched by investigators. This and weeks of interviews, there still hasn't been a major break in the case. And for their stepfather, the silence inside the once busy home is deafening.
Going from a family of 7 to just me, I mean, I have nothing but time to just think.
RCMP insists this is still very much an active investigation. They're reviewing surveillance footage and following digital evidence. But the emotional toll has already left its mark on Martell, including the loss of custody of his daughter, Meadow.
I haven't even got to see my own kids, not even Meadow yet. But I'm still hopeful. I have supervised visits coming up that are granted by CPS.
The children's stepfather says he's grateful to the investigators and to people who continue to share tips, even if none have yet led to finding Jack and Lily. Until then, over a month later, the family continues to remain hopeful that the children will return home safe. Todd?
Right, House RF in Pictou County for us this evening.
Okay, so let me go ahead and pop this off. Sorry, guys. So that's Jack and Lily. That was their stepfather, Daniel Martell. So they were last seen back in May. The RCMP has interviewed 54 people, and that is a very specific number, in my opinion, right? 54 people. They also distributed polygraph tests or administered polygraph tests to probably not all 54 people, but to some of the people who were close to the case, according to what we're seeing here. There has been 500 tips, but there's been no sign of Lily and Jack. As a matter of fact, the only thing there was a footprint that was alleged to have been found near the wooded area where they live. So very, very odd. Again, they just go out the door and poof, they're gone, right? Broad daylight. This supposedly happened sometime between the hours of 8:30 a.m. and 10 a.m. in the morning. I mean, we really, again, don't have a clear time frame. But we've been able to narrow the time frame down since the beginning. So Daniel Martell claims to be the first one to volunteer for the polygraph test. He was hoping that it would narrow down speculation and provide more evidence according to his statement. My problem with that is that even though Daniel is very soft-spoken and not aggressive, he seems concerned, but I almost seem like he's feigning concern, and he's more worried about the speculation and what the public thinks about him than about finding the children. He also thinks that a polygraph can provide more evidence, which I would need to ask him some follow-up questions, but the fact that the fact that he thinks that he's going to provide evidence by taking a polygraph test, I just am confused why he thinks that would bring forward evidence, especially if it was him and his partner Malaya and their baby, and then they had their 2 other children playing. They should be the ones that know where the children are. They were last responsible for their children, right? So the only person who can really provide us more evidence would be himself and his partner, in my opinion. He says their cell phones were seized and searched. And he also talks about how difficult it is going from a family of 7 to just down to him, and that he has nothing but time to think. And again, this kind of brings in a couple of different questions, like, where were the other 2 children? So we have Malaya, Daniel, their newest baby, Meadow, right? 2 kids from the previous marriage, Jack and Lily, who are missing. And then that leaves 2 other children. So where were those children at? And how often did they live or stay at the residence where Lily and Jack went missing from? So I think that's important to kind of unpack that a little bit, because here's the thing. Maybe the other kids who were older, who are perceived to be older, presumably from a different relationship on Daniel Martel's side, why were the older kids not home? And then all of a sudden you want us to believe that the 2 younger children just poof vanished and you guys don't know what's happening, and you're hoping that whoever's lying is going to provide the evidence needed to crack the case. And all of this doesn't make sense, right? It's taking responsibility off of himself and putting it onto someone else. He also never said he passed the polygraph test. He said that he took one and it came back in his favor. So again, it's very unclear. It's very muddy. Daniel also admits that he lost custody of Meadow, of their little 1.5-year-old baby that he shares with Malaya. But what about the other children? Did custody get taken from him? Did his parental rights get taken for the time being, since the children who were supposed to be in his care and safe in his care are now disappeared? There's a lot to speculate. He says that he hasn't seen Meadow, but there are supervised visits that are set up through CPS with Meadow, but he doesn't speak about the other 2 children, or if he's able to see them regularly, or any of that. He makes it seem like everybody is gone. It's just him. He has all of the time in the world to think, but he does have supervised visits set up with Meadow. It's all very bizarre, in my opinion. Diane Downey says, I'm sus of mom 100%. Yeah, and it's hard not to be, right? Because, I mean, she came out one time. She over-explained herself. She even offered up that the kids might have just been taken, things like that. So, yes, I did see that. Brenda Brown says the deception detective covered the statement from Martel. Yes, and we're going to bring in deception detective tomorrow. So I didn't want to I didn't want to grab up all his content, just, make it all about Deception Detective, but I really enjoy his commentary, and he's done some really good videos, especially for what I've been working on, really showing some of these statements by Don Wells. Ann Reynolds says, that is what I have to say today about these kids. Both of the parents are involved in what happened to them. I believe so too, Ann, because they were the ones that were last responsible for them. And then, when we hear about a family of 7, I think about it being, 2 parents, they have 3 kids, and then the 2 other people that were living on the property. But that's not what Daniel was talking about, because he has 2 other kids, presumably. And also, is his mother and brother not living on the property anymore? That's another question I have. So. Carla, hey Carla. Carla says, hey, I thought there was a big break in the case. Reading headlines before I went to church, they are saying our thoughts were right. Oh, I didn't see that, Carla. Oh my goodness. Well, do share. Do tell more. Denise says he and she are liars, hiding something. I personally think she has a family member. She had a family member come get them. That's a possibility too. She could be hiding them somewhere. Absolutely. I can't rule that out, because look, let's be honest, there's no evidence of the children. This is the one of the latest updates. I think it was from yesterday. I meant to pull it in last night and I didn't. But this was just from yesterday. No sign of the kids yet. 500 tips. RCMP interviewed 54 people. Polygraphs were administered. Nothing, right? So still in the air, in my opinion. Deanna Downey says Daniel has spoken to homicide detective and gave names to check out. Okay. Oh, I didn't know about that, Deanna Downey. That's interesting. He seems cooperative, and I will say that. When I look at Chris Proudfoot and I look at Daniel Martell, I'm like, Daniel Martell has been cooperative with authorities, in my opinion. He's also been cordial with media outlets. And let's be honest, the smartest thing that you can do, in my opinion, is to be cordial to, no offense to any of us, but I'm part of them, but the vultures, right? Be kind to the vultures, feed the vultures, and they won't peck your brains out, right? If my child was missing, I would be feeding the vultures so they didn't peck my brains out, so they didn't try to come up with their own narrative. I would be very straightforward with them. We don't see that with Christopher Proudfoot. As a matter of fact, he liked to have taunted everybody that would ask him a question, and then he would act like he was on a game show and he was answering it right and he was winning, cash and prizes, in my opinion, Denise Harris thinks that Daniel Martell is a lying manipulator. A lot of times people who are ultra manipulative, we will see these little nuances of guilt, right? One thing I noticed about Daniel Martell, Denise, is that he actually, in the beginning, was saying things like, I was yelling so loud in the woods that I lost my voice. And, oh, poor me, woe is me, feel sorry for me. I could have gotten hurt out there. And this, yes, obviously this is rough and rugged terrain. Obviously it's unsafe terrain. I understand where he's coming from there. But it just always seemed like a ploy for sympathy with him. I don't like that, because absolutely makes me feel manipulated. Thanks, Denise. And I also find it very deceptive. I do. I find it absolutely deceptive when I look at someone who is always on a ploy for sympathy. There's got to be a reason why. If someone is a perpetual victim, there's something wrong there, right? It's just something you can kind of key into, and I can't explain it, but Daniel Martell definitely gives off those vibes of woe is me, poor me, feel sorry for me. I went from having a family of 7 down to just myself. I'm stuck here with my thoughts. where is Jack and Lily? Where's Jack and Lily? Because everything that I wrote down, the news outlet says no sign of Jack and Lily. He tells news outlets, I was the first one to take a polygraph. I was the first one to volunteer for a polygraph. I wanted to narrow down the speculation and see if there's any evidence out there, even though he was the one who said that he saw or that he had knowledge that Lily and Jack left with pink boots and a strawberry backpack, a pink outfit for Lily, and brown pants and a shirt, blue dinosaur boots for Jack, right? He was the one that gave the description. He was the one that said about 20 minutes after they went missing, I called. You know, he was the one that set up all of this in the beginning. So we cannot forget these statements by Mr. Martell. He also says that, look, they took our cell phones, they searched and seized our cell phones, right? But then again, he goes back to himself. And like I said, it's all about sad, feel sorry for me. I can't even see Meadow. Nothing about Jack and Lily. Talking about he set up visits with Meadow. What about Jack and Lily? Huge red flags, in my opinion. Ann Reynolds says, I don't feel like the kids are still alive. You know, and I don't have enough evidence to say whether I think they are or not. But I think that at this juncture, it's probably safe to say that something has happened to Jack and Lily, in my opinion. And I think they did meet with foul play. But without knowing more, I can't really elaborate on that. But the reason why I think that is because these are two very, very small children. Where they live, they are not close to civilization, so to speak. It is a heavily wooded area. And if they had just, say, saw something that caught their eye and they wandered into the woods and got lost, we would have found them by now because they wouldn't have food, they wouldn't have water, and they wouldn't have shelter. So I absolutely think that they met with foul play. I can't discount someone riding down that road, even though that road is supposed to be one that's not so traveled. I still can't say that if they were by the road, somebody didn't see them and pick them up. I know that that is a less probable possibility. I understand that statistically speaking, it would be very rare for all of a sudden, oh, look, this, horrible person riding down the road. Oh, let's do little kids, Right. It's kind of improbable. But I can't discount it. It's very rare in and of itself for two children to be abducted at the same time. Obviously, we know that Lily has a set of lungs and she can scream her little head off. And there's no doubt in my mind, if somebody's tried to snatch up her or her brother, they would be kicking and screaming and doing everything they could to draw attention to the situation, in my opinion. Fed Up Buttercup says, Deanna, I saw that, but we know he's not giving their own names CP Jr., in my opinion. He's a nicer version of Chris Proudfoot, right? Worried about public image, worried about speculation. I agree. Worried about himself. Woe is me. Feel sorry for me. Don't blame me. Brenda Brown says, we need to hear from Maleha. She just went and hid. I agree. And again, why wouldn't you befriend the vultures? No offense. I look at myself as a vulture too. I want to know what's going on, right? But that's the only way you're going to spread awareness, especially because who's to say somebody didn't take the kids and bring them somewhere else and they have them somewhere. You know what I mean? Excuse me. And if you truly do not know where your children are, then you are going to be open to any option out there. You're going to be thinking all kinds of different things, right? You're going to have to stop yourself from thinking about all of what could have possibly happen to your children, right? I agree, Brenda Brown. Well said. It's weird that she just left Connie S., isn't it? It's weird. And even authorities were telling her, don't leave the house, stay home, right? In the beginning of the Sebastian Rogers case, there was high speculation on that as well. Why are Chris and Katie just sitting at home? Well, they were told by the authorities to stick around. That way, when the authorities find Sebastian, they have parents to bring him home to, right? They have parents that are not somewhere 20 minutes away searching in the woods. They have the parents right there. So that way the traumatic event for the child is lessened when they can just be brought back to their parents. But we also found out that Sebastian's case was far, far different from something like that ever happening or that scenario playing out. Same thing goes here when she leaves, right, Connie S? I mean, that is just absolutely bonkers, in my opinion, to leave. They wouldn't be able to make me leave where my child went missing from. They just wouldn't. They wouldn't. If my child went missing, say in a park, I would be searching that park. I would probably sleep overnight in the park on a bench because I'd be hoping to find my child. I mean, you just have that bond. You have that urgency. You have that need, that determination to find your child. I see that with Seth. I can't say I see that with Katie. I don't. I'm sorry. Chris, I don't expect it from. For one, he's a stepdad. No offense. I know there's a lot of stepdads out there that are good guys. I get it. A lot of stepmoms out there, good people. Terry Horman, piece of shit step monster. Chris Proudfoot, in my opinion, piece of shit step monster. And that's, the best analogy. Fed Up Buttercup says, and no way did they disappear that morning, in my opinion. No, but he told us that they did, right? And that's what Maleha wants us to believe. And then, like Connie S. says, she's over there hiding. And where's she at? Where's she going? Lori says 100. 100, Connie. Thanks for the hearts, Lori. Yeah, and I mean, it's just... Lori got it. Oh, I got so excited. I went to click on your comment and then I was like, oh. But yes, Lori got it. Hey, just me. Oh, no worries, Carla. I didn't watch any of those channels making the statement about the break in the case. I will say I saw 4 different ones in the couple minutes I was searching for music for birds. Oh, how cute. Carla, I love you and your birds. Hey, WV Holla Girl, good to see you. I keep asking when they dress the kids out of their pajamas. It's not in their story. That is a great question, Hey Jude, right? Here's the thing. The whole morning kind of gets to me, right? Because I'm thinking, now, I have one daughter, but I will say that I've also babysat and had sleepovers and things like that, right? So I kind of go back to that because the only child is a little different. I'm not going to say it is the same as having multiple children, right? That would be a lie. But if I'm thinking back and I'm thinking, okay, I had 2 girls stay overnight and my daughter, that you had better have breakfast for those kids in the morning. Okay. That you had better have something for them to eat, snacks for them to, and things like that. But then in the morning, yeah. And you're not going to give those kids back to their parents with them wearing their pajamas. I don't care. 10 o'clock in the morning, the kids should be out of their pajamas unless it's like a lounge day or something. I know the kids they said that the kids weren't feeling too hot. Somebody said there was whooping cough going around. I don't know what to believe, honestly. I'm just going to say that. But I just want to say that we didn't hear any breakfast time. We didn't hear of any structured type of morning events, right? Where it was like, yeah, we got the kids up, and we fixed them some breakfast, and we put on some cartoons or whatever, their choices. And we were about to get ready for school, but we realized that excuse me, I was going to call the little one Lily had a cough. And so we decided to keep both of the kids home from school. And so, they were lounging out in their pajamas or whatever, but we know that they weren't. They did change at some point. And Malay has said that she wasn't the one that said what they were wearing. It was Daniel Martell. And so how could you possibly have known what they were wearing? I guess you could obviously say if their boots aren't there, they had their boots on. But other than that, it's odd with the strawberry backpack as well. To just kind of offer that up. Oh, she had this strawberry backpack and it'd be dirty by now. Sounds like he's like remembering a memory of when he saw the backpack last and it was dirty. In my opinion, it definitely brings my brain there. But that's a great question. Hey, Jude. You don't leave when the kids are missing. It's weird, right? You put a freaking light bulb in, letting them know, you put a ribbon on the tree, you're praying, you're doing vigils. I mean, all of these things are very odd. I understand that she has a baby that she has to tend to, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to be vigilant about your children who are missing. And let's be honest, I mean, 6 and 4, I mean, those are babies to me still. I mean, until they're, into their little preteen phase, they're still, they're little kids. I mean, especially 4 and 6. Oh my gosh. No, you wouldn't leave the home your children went missing from. Never, no, never, because you're I think it's like a defense mechanism, but I think a lot of times people's brains would just tell them, like, if I leave, what if they come here, right? Because that was the last place that they were known to be. And so that's where my brain would go. I would have very heavy anxiety leaving the place where my child went missing from. I just really would. I can't, maybe that's me and my anxiety, but hey, Kai Kai, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Even though you're a little late, that's no problem at all. No problem at all. We're just kind of shooting the shit with true crime. So I think Jack's birthday was supposedly to today, or somebody was saying in town chat. Lori says, I thought Daniel's mom told her to leave. Oh, that is possible. I've fallen behind a little on Lily and Jack, I can't lie. Kind of covering everybody. Because golly, there's been so much going on this summer with the true crime scene. So maybe Daniel's mother did tell her to leave. Because I did hear that it was alleged that was Daniel's family property, right? Not Malaya and Daniel's property together, kind of a thing. I don't know their birthdays either. Hey, Jude. Well, absolutely, Carla. Great point. She's another Katie leaving the home and not worried they're going to come home. She knows, like Katie. I mean, and that's the thing. It's kind of like black and white, right? And then also, if we exhaust every option, then that leaves us to whoever was in the immediate household, or even in and around the household, like anybody that was living on the property in a camper, right? Say I was living on that property in a camper, I would think I would be questioned by law enforcement and possibly given a polygraph test. Those resources are not cheap to just kind of hand out, right? They do use them sparingly and righteously, in my opinion. Oh, sorry guys, I lost this. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Connie S. That gets me. See, that's what gets me. You don't stay in bed while little ones are up playing, right? Because they could do anything. They could hurt themselves. Anything could happen. Anything could happen. And if there's two parents in the household, and Daniel Martell works at a steel mill, or excuse me, he works at some sort of a mill or a factory 1 day a week, and then Malay is a stay-at-home mom, allegedly. Um, Again, it's just not adding up. Like, why are y'all not working? And I understand maybe a stay-at-home mom or even a stay-at-home dad, right? But why isn't anyone providing? Why isn't anybody being responsible? And if you're only working 1 day a week, you're not that tired. Sorry, I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but you should be up with the kids, right? Somebody should at least be up with the kids. I mean, you know, I get it. You got two little ones. They probably want to watch like whatever show or whatever. I know about Bluey because of Lily. She loved Bluey. Um, she still loves Bluey. But so I get it. Like you're watching Bluey all day and stuff. I get that. But in the same way, it's like that's what being a parent is, right? So, you know, chill with one earbud in and listen to whatever you're listening to, and but keep an eye on the kids. Connie, yes, I agree with you 100%. And make them breakfast and, make them. And if they're not feeling good, why would you leave them by themselves? Again, it doesn't, people say, well, Lady Freedom, the reason why they kept the kids home was this. Okay, I get it. Okay, so there was sickness going around and whatnot. But why leave them by themselves? It's just, especially when there's two parents in the home, there's no reason for that. Yeah, and see, that's what I said too, Connie. Yes, another thing, why keep both of them home when one is sick? Yeah, because what is the point of that, right? What does that teach them? And then also, Malaya mentions that they were behind in school. Well, of course they're going to be behind in school if you're keeping them home for no reason. It's going to be hard to set up, or excuse me, it's going to be hard to catch up, rather. Lori says, thank you for hitting the thumbs up. Good job. Thanks, Lori. These poor little babies. I know, YouTuber, and it's maddening because where did they go? They just expect us to believe they just walked out the door and gosh, never to be found, never to be seen again. No evidence. We would see their little boot prints going to the road, right? That's another thing that bothers me. We would see their little boot prints headed to the road. We might find them somewhere close. I mean, they're not going to make it that far. They're just not. Fatigue would set in, the elements, all of that. Sammy, can you imagine how many prank calls he gets? Yeah, bad look. Exactly. Optically, it's bad. Kanye says makes her look suspicious. Bad look. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and we just really think of a grieving parent and how they would want people to help, and they would just be trying to go to the ends of the earth to find their child, especially little ones. I can't imagine that because obviously a little kids 4 and 6 cannot take care of themselves or each other out there. They could fall, they could hurt themselves, they could have, especially in that terrain, they could have ended up falling down into a ravine or a holler or something like that. Town Chat Cafe says, yeah, that is what I heard too, Lori, that Daniel's mom allegedly kicked her off the property. Something about the baby had to go, but she could stay, or vice versa. It was weird. I'm not sure I believe it. Oh, I wonder if Daniel's mother possibly said the baby can stay, but you have to go to her, Town Chat Cafe. And because I heard that it was alleged as well. And of course, this is purely speculative, but I heard that there was an issue where Malaya's mom was blaming Daniel. And so maybe with that, his mother started blaming Malaya and said, you could leave Meadow here, but you need to get going. We don't know what type of person we're dealing with in either of the mothers or the family members, and we really kind of don't even know who we're dealing with Maleha and Daniel. Thank you. Hey Jude says there was an argument. The police were called and she had to leave. So there you go. Yeah, that makes sense. So, and what mother's going to leave without their baby? So good on her for that. But I mean, that again could have been used as a pawn. The baby could have been used as a pawn. YouTuber says 2 stories. Property is owned by Daniel Martel's mother, and the property was left to Daniel Martel as an inheritance. No idea which is true. Okay, thank you. Thanks, YouTuber. Yeah, because I heard that. I heard it was his, but I never heard it was like theirs together. And then also I've heard about the family property, like it being, the families, which would make a difference, right? So if it's his mother's property, it would make a difference between it being his property and his mother's property, because if it's mom's property, it's mom's rules. If it's his property, then mom might have to live under his rules since she's living there, type of a thing. So thanks, YouTuber. I kind of heard conflicting things too. It's a family compound in my opinion. Hey Jude says, yeah. And I'm sorry, but that whole tree clubhouse thing in the tree fort, that was really, really creepy in my opinion. I still don't like that, and the whole, bunch of that kind of mess that we saw. Sammy G says, I have been watching the bio dad's mom give a lot of information. She said that Malea's mother came to get her and she left with her mother, but was not told to leave. Oh, okay. Okay. Interesting. I heard that the bio dad's mom was kind of giving out some info, but I wasn't sure. Absolutely. Hey Jude, it doesn't alleviate her responsibility to advocate for her children. She should be still advocating for her babies. Absolutely. And they are babies. I agree. They're just so little. And I mean, if we look at them, here's their cute little, I just love Lily. I mean, it's almost like fast forward until she's in college, right? And it just breaks your heart. But look at them. They're so tiny and little. It just breaks my heart. Hey, Meg. It's absolutely sad. It's absolutely sad. But I'm glad you guys have the scoop here because, like I said, it's tough and it's been tough. And I know that even some of the speculation and information that has come out has been a little bit, it's been frustrating because, we're trying to get the right information out there. But I think it's important to remember that, we're really all human and, we have to consider the source again in all of these cases. Sammy G says there's some weirdness about the timeline of Malea's mom getting there before police, and she lives an hour and a half away. I don't know. Wow, that's a really good point. If she lives an hour and a half away, then how did she get there so fast? Before police even. Because to my knowledge, it was a quick response. Very quick response once law enforcement was notified. Yeah. Connie S., I agree. 6 and 4 are too young to play while they're in bed. Yeah. Anything could happen. They could really get hurt. And honestly, on a property like that, they could actually go out and run out into the middle of the road, especially if it's true that you can't hear the door when it opens and shuts. Like Malaya says, their mother said, you can't hear the door when it opens and shuts. So, I mean, I'd be worried about that. Hey, Jude says, Sammy G, that is strange. Yeah, very strange. And I think it's important to note, kids don't just disappear, Connie S. They sure don't. They sure don't. But then, we're expected to believe that, it seems. YouTuber says, hey Jude, even if she has a valid reason for not being able to return to the property, she should still be giving interviews pleading for help to find her children, in my opinion. Absolutely. Definitely. And she should be telling people the true information in order to find the kids. And I don't think that they're being truthful. I don't think that Malaya or Daniel is being truthful. Do I think they're being cordial? Yes. Do I think that they're handling themselves differently than Katie and Chris Proudfoot? Yes. Do I see a lot of similarities when they're speaking to their own agenda and not finding the children? Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, I'm so glad you're here, Meg. I'm so glad you're here. She says, I'm late, but I made it. Yay. I was trying to go on earlier tonight and then I didn't. Sammy says Sammy says it is being said by Daniel that Malaya has worn that postpartum. Oh, excuse me. Let me start over. Sammy says it's being said by Daniel that Malaya has the worst postpartum depression. I don't know what that is. That's postpartum psychosis. Biodad's mom said that Malaya was very gifted as a mother until she had Meadow, and then everything changed. The place where they live is known to be one of the hardest places in Canada for employment. There's just not a lot of gainful employment. It's sad. Okay. Oh, it said, now whether they are specifically impacted by that, I don't know. Well, I will say that is interesting that the postpartum depression is a factor, and I have heard that before. I didn't know that Daniel Martel confirmed that. Now, with that being part of the case, and people saying, well, Malaya changed after she had Meadow, and I agree, Sammy, the postpartum psychosis aspect changes everything, because that could really have led her to decide to do something to Lily and Jack because of that, in my opinion. So that's something that maybe we should explore. Fed Up Buttercup says 4 years old in school. Is it preschool or what? Especially in a diaper still. Anyone from Canada in here that can tell us, was Jack in what grade at 4? That's a really good point, Fed Up Buttercup. I agree. Because typically pre-K, they make sure that you're fully potty trained. It's part of, enrollment and stuff, making sure. So that's a great point. I don't know if they have laws there, if that's the same. I also found it strange that they rode the same bus, even though Jack's only 4 and Lily is 6. So, that's a great question. Oh, I'm glad you had a good day, Meg. Long but good, she says. Yeah, but she has 2 babies missing. Clubhouse was creepy, Kanye says. Yes, I agree. I was like, wait a minute, that's where the kids play? Town Chat Cafe says, OMG, Lady Freedom. As I was typing that, it makes sense. You were saying it, and I hit the enter button. Great minds think alike tonight. That's funny, Town Chat Cafe. Fed Up Buttercup says Logan Daniels' cousin said her and her mom were there in that argument. Ooh, interesting. I'm sure it would cause stress and arguments when you have these two beautiful little children somewhere out there, you know? Oh, true, pull-ups. True, that's true. Hey, Jude, good point. Pull-ups. Yeah. And as long as maybe he wasn't having, you know, just using the diaper. Oh, Sammy G says not from Canada, but my 3-year-old goes to public school here in the States. She wears pull-ups. 80% of the kids with ASD are delayed in toilet training. He didn't have a diagnosis, but yeah, that's true, Sammy. Well, and you know, Malaya did mention that she thought that they were on the spectrum, and she did mention both kiddos being on the spectrum. But then I was questioning, but then you just don't know. I agree, Sammy. You just don't know. And thanks for sharing that, because, you know, I think they do make special concessions and things like that. And maybe it's worked out with the school if, you know, it's like a precautionary just in case there's an accident or something like that. Meg, I'm glad you're here. She says, I'm glad I made it. I was going to be so bummed out if I missed the whole live. I'm glad you're here. And Feta Buttercup says, Jude crazy, right? 4 years old, not potty trained. They both running around with pacifiers. What the hell? Yeah, and that's bad for their teeth too, to run around with passies, you know, at that age. And you know, the other kids might tease them and stuff too, so you always got to think about that as well. You know, if they're gonna say, "Oh, you're a baby, you still have a binky," or something like that, you know. Time Chat Cafe says, I wonder if her mom came and got them and they are in deep hiding, in my opinion, allegedly. You know, there's been a lot of speculation about that as well. You know, we just don't know. Yeah, no pacifiers or bottles though. Yeah, exactly. Because, you know, they're too old for that. I think she's lying. Patio doors not that quiet, right? And you hear that suction noise too, right? Like and you know, back and forth. So you would hear that, and it's not like the kids are going to do it real quiet. You know, usually you're like yelling at the kids, "Don't be slamming that door," you know. So, Megan L says, "I didn't have little boys. I didn't get mine till he was older, but I've heard boys take longer to potty train." I agree with that, Meg. I do. You know, because even with just little boys that I babysat and taken care of and things like that, it was like the girls were a little bit more independent earlier, in my opinion, or from my experience. Fed Up Buttercup Sammy G says the Fed Up Buttercup, they call it pre-kindergarten. Okay, right, pre-K, yeah, 3 to 5 in her class. All other public school rules same. Ride buses like Jack and Lily, etc. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Sammy. Yeah. And golly, it's been so long since I've had a little one. They are beautiful, aren't they, Fed Up Buttercup? They're so cute. They're so cute and itty bitty, and just all, you know, picturing them out there like that. Lori's good. She says, Meg, both of my kids, one boy, one girl, potty trained very easily. My daughter did too. I have to be honest. Once she realized, you know, the feeling of like, oh, you know, my underwear are clean, and then, you know, you're going to the bathroom and it's like you're not having a dirty diaper and stuff. She was very easy to do that. Same thing with, you know, weaning off the bottle and stuff like that. And she didn't do the passy, you know, because I nursed her. So she really didn't do that. And then the sippy cup was like, you know, the bottle was kind of to help wean off, and then she was onto the sippy cup and on to bigger and better things. No, but yeah, the potty training thing was easy. Thank God, you know. But I don't fault any kids or anyone or any person with the potty training thing, because it does happen at their own pace, right? Everything happens at the kid's own pace. You know, you want to work with them more and give them more support if they're having issues or difficulties. But I don't think it's fair. And then I also hate it when people are putting restrictions on kids, like your kid will never do this. It's like, don't say that. You have no clue. Quit lying. And Carla says, Megan knows my daughter walked at 8 months and potty trained herself at 9 months because my sis was 5 and she followed everything she did. My son was 2. Aw, how cute, Carla. Yeah, and that helps too tremendously, right? Sissy uses the big girl potty, so little brother, you can use a big boy potty, and you want to be big, and you give them incentives, you cheer them on, do the potty song, all that kind of stuff. It helps. So, Megan L says my oldest was fully potty trained at 2 because she didn't like to be dirty. Yeah, Meg, that is a big one. I really think that children really realize that, obviously, and even the little toddlers, they're like, oh, hey, I'm not in a dirty, I don't have to go to a dirty diaper. I can go. Now, I know some kids will get into whatever they're doing, right? And then they will forget. And then, like say they're playing a video game and the next thing you know, oh crap, I had an accident, or whatever. And also restricting drinks before bed, because some kids are just such heavy sleepers that sometimes they'll sleep and then they'll have an accident, things like that. But it also is a big indicator of trauma. So we cannot overlook some of that stuff too. Again, everybody goes at their own pace, but we also have to understand that some traumatic events can really impact that as well. So, just something to consider, like we saw with Sebastian and what seems to be a regression. Yeah. Carla says, I spent a day with my son and followed a book saying, feed salty snacks and drink water, then throw a flushable little sponge thing and teach them to hit it to pee. I worked until he had to poo. Yeah, exactly. That's a good tactic until that. I know, I heard like a Cheerio in the this helps them aim. That's so funny. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's my best guess too, Connie S, is that Jack is in preschool at the same school, and they just kind of ride the bus together, and it's probably like pre-K through maybe 5th grade or something like that. I don't know how they do things in Canada. Yeah, Sammy S says, Lori, not mine. She's also nonverbal and eats about 5 foods. It's stressful. Yeah, it is stressful. That the eating stuff is really, really stressful too, especially like if the sensory issue or something like that. Absolutely, Sammy. But you sound like you are such a great support and everything, Oh, that's true, YouTuber. And maybe he wore underwear to school, and maybe it was more relaxed when he was at home and he was still wearing a pull-up that morning. But YouTuber says possibly Jack only wore pull-ups at night. So that's a strong possibility. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, that's another thing to consider. Kathy says I started 1st grade at 5 because of when my birthday fell. Yeah, that's absolutely something to consider, because it just depends on when the cutoff date is for birthdays. Meg, it's not. We all go back to pull-ups. Meg says it's not going to be long before I'm in pull-ups. Meg. Carla says me too, Meg. Oh, Carla says they have to be potty trained before they can go to preschool. Yes, I've heard differences. And again, they may make some special concessions. But again, Head Start is another good point too. Fed Up Buttercup, because that's a whole different thing too, to kind of get them ready and all that stuff too. Yeah, but yeah. I don't know how it would work in Canada. It's hard to say. Connie S says my daughter was easier to potty train. Sammy G says, I don't know about the psychosis, just the quote was worse than postpartum worse than postpartum depression. So it was worse than just regular postpartum. So he must have seen it kind of start and maybe progressively get worse, which is noted to be the postpartum psychosis, or could lead to, I should say. And they're saying that she distanced herself from Jack and Lily, and Daniel was the main caregiver after the baby. Okay, I see. That's really interesting. And you just don't know what's going on there, and then hormonally, and then, mentally. Lori says my kids were both easy to train in just about everything. That's great. That's great. They have to have a good teacher for that, And Sammy G says, this is all coming from Daniel and other family, none from Malaya, so I don't know. Well, and that's the hardest part, right? Because there's always, three sides to a story. There's one person's side, the other person's, and then the truth, right? In my opinion, it's really up to really perspective and that person's point of view. But in the same way, if he's the only one willing to come out and speak, it kind of shows that he maybe is bolder, or maybe he's more confident, or maybe he's trying to control the narrative. There's a lot of different things that we can kind of take away from that or speculate on. Tootsie Rolls are a good reward. Yes, Lori. Yes, exactly. Incentivize and positive reinforcement is the best, I think. That's why it works so well. Carla says, my daughter would have accidents at night when she was 3 or so, and I worked till midnight, so I would get her and she would sleepwalk to the potty. Tell her to go potty, and she would then head to her bed. Carla, that's so cute. Yeah, and it is hard when you're working different schedules and stuff. With the Cheerios, Lori knows about the Cheerios. Yes, I just remember that with my little cousins, I think. Well, that's true. Sammy says she will. Going to school just started in October helps too tremendously. She has no older siblings or similar age cousins to mimic, which also doesn't help. These COVID babies are behind generally too. Yeah, that made it very difficult. Absolutely. Well, especially when they're at home, it made it harder for the parents involved and all of that. I absolutely agree with that. I'm glad that she started though in October, and I'm glad that she's doing well. It's hard, but being around the other kids they will learn from. And also, that's another thing when kids are going to school and the pull-ups and stuff, other kids might say, hey, don't you want to be a big kid? Or, it'll kind of like push and motivate them sometimes. So, yeah, Connie says all of my kids started at 6 because of their birthday. Yeah, it just depends, right? It's like if they miss that cutoff date, and the schools are pretty sticklers about it, Oh, that's sweet. Anne says I had a hard time with my son potty train, but I would give. But he was 4 when I got him used to it, and then gold stars when he went on the potty. That's wonderful. Yeah, and see, that's another positive reinforcement that you could use. A little reward system. That's great. Michelle Scott says, what does that say, lady? There is a $50,000 reward for Sebastian. Definitely foul play, and Sumner County Sheriff's Office won't call in U.S. Marshals, but they are called in for Decker with only $20,000 reward after what he did. That definitely puts it into perspective, Michelle. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, what it says to me, a $50,000 reward from the FBI, that tells me that they're suspecting foul play, in my opinion. And the FBI is very hush-hush. They're not going to come out and tell us anything. So if I compare that to the U.S. Marshals being called in for Travis Decker and a $20,000 reward uh, is awfully low in comparison. So yeah, that is absolutely uh, spot on. Yeah, it says a lot, doesn't it? It says a lot, and I think that's why we see messages when we even think about putting together a demonstration from Chris Proudfoot, and he says, "What is the protest actually about?" And he's wondering, right? He's a little worried. He should be, in my opinion. Hey, Miss Sarah C. Miss Sarah C says, "Hey, Lady Freedom, did I misread that you were going to be with Mob Crew tonight? You are my favorite. I love Chris from Mob Crew." No, if I'm supposed to be over there, I'm probably in trouble by now. No, I would love to go over there. I'd pick Chris's brain, but no, there wasn't any talk of that I know of. I didn't get the memo. Notice Daniel isn't behaving publicly as violent as Chris Proudfoot, in my opinion. Michelle, there's a big difference, right? He's not going on different panels and acting a fool. He's not being oppositional with news anchors. He's answering the questions as they're asked to him. So I do notice all of that. Absolutely. Doesn't mean he's innocent, though. Very great point. Doesn't mean he's innocent either, though. I agree. In my opinion, we really don't know. And he could be, as we were saying earlier, really ultra manipulative. And that's why he's being so kind and courteous, right? Because he probably knows he's smarter than Chris Proudfoot, which, I mean, that doesn't take much, in my opinion. But he's absolutely playing it smarter. Meg says, "My second oldest was delayed in talking. She was actually delayed with rolling over, sitting up, and such as well. And she used to bang her bottle on the fridge for milk, but not talk." Aw. Yeah, and they do it in their own time, That's why it's like, it might take a little bit longer, but I hate it when doctors are like, "Well, they're never going to do that if they don't do it by this age." It's like, that doesn't mean that. That's not true. Lori says she will train in her own time. Just keep trying. You will know when she's ready. Every child is different. Yeah, Lori, thank you for that. Aw, thank you so much. And I agree with that 100%. That's really what I was trying to say. So well said. Because people will try to discourage people. They will be like, "Oh, well, that's never going to happen," or "How come they're not?" And honestly, it's because they're not ready yet, I think. And I think that'll happen in its own sweet time, when they're ready. But those are good questions, because it is alleged that Jack was wearing a pull-up, and then Daniel Martell was talking about how he wouldn't have wanted to wear that dirty pull-up, that he would have probably pulled it off by now, right? Because they were gone for so long. Very true, Connie S. That's so true. No children are the same. You can't really compare. Yeah, there's no comparison, right? Because they're going to do things in their own time, and they're going to think, or they're going to mimic other kids. They're going to mimic their parents, right? They're going to be like, "Oh, my parents use the bathroom, I'm going to go use it." They do learn from modeling. And Megan L says she did speak in her own time, and I was so excited when she copied me and spoke. It was just a bad word. I tripped over the baby gate and fell in front of her. Oh my goodness, that's so funny, Meg. That's again mimicking what we do and what we say. That is so funny. Oh my goodness. And that they're mimicking you is when they use it in the correct context. And then you're like, "Oh shit, well, they actually use that in the right context, and oh, that's something I usually say." So, or that's something their dad would say, or whatever. That's so funny. or their little brothers and sisters, right? Because, you know, when they get to a certain age and then you're like, don't talk like that in front of the little ones, or you spell things out so that way they won't understand, you know, they won't mimic it. Exactly. And it's a great moment, right? Meg says I called everyone to let them know she talked. Yeah, and you know, and then treating it like it's a huge accomplishment is also really important, right? And positive reinforcement. Um, you know, because the kids they're cute when they're potty training. You'll be like, "Yay, good job!" And they'll be like, "Woohoo!" And they'll be like so excited that they did it. And you know, it's great. It's a great moment. And Fed Up Buttercup says, I don't think Jack and Lily were worked with, probably why they didn't keep up with other kids in school. Plus, who knows how much how much school they missed. Yeah, absolutely. In my opinion, Fed Up Buttercup, that is a major factor. And that's why I'm kind of really reluctant to be like, well, these children were on the spectrum and things like that, because one, they weren't diagnosed. And then two, it seems that they were being set up for failure, not success, in my opinion. And that always kind of bothers me, you know. So I know, right? Isn't that cute, Carla? So cute, so cute. Well, guys, I think that I'm gonna hop off of here tonight a little bit earlier than I usually do. Well, we've been on for 2 hours, but I wanted to you know, hop on and do our letter. So still doing that letter writing campaign, and we're going to come up with someone new to write to next week. You know, and I'll kind of do the letter thing again. Tomorrow night we're going to have a big show for Summer Wells, so definitely come by. I believe I'm going to be doing it probably around 10:30 or 11, if not 11:15. I'm going to try not to do it too late tomorrow. I want to try to do it a little bit earlier, but I have a lot to kind of work on for that, because I want to make it really there's a picture that I want to paint with these statements. I'm still going through them, but I really want to know what you all think after we watch and we break these down. So happy early Father's Day to all of our fathers. We love you, and we hope that you have a chance to relax and you get a chance to enjoy your children and just have the best day ever. And Lori says, thank you for joining us all. Thank you, Lori. Yes. And yeah, just have a great day. Barbecue, have a beer, whatever you like, or have a cold soda, or whatever it is that tickles your fancy, right? And just have a great day and love on your kids. And we're definitely saying prayers for anyone out there that doesn't have their kids, who doesn't have their fathers, who is missing a grandfather. Seth Rogers, we love you. Our hearts are with you. Sending out love and prayers, and keep being the dad that you are, because you're an inspiration and you're Sebastian's voice, and you always have been, and you always will be. Thank you all so much. I love you all very, very much. Stay safe out there, and I will see you tomorrow.